Hello, my name is Justin Shaw. I'm going to be teaching you how to model a character through box modeling in 3ds Max. We'll be moving into modeling, unwrapping, and texturing in this series. First of all, I'm going to start with this character. I've already built the turnaround. You need a turnaround to build pretty much anything and make sure that it matches the reference. I'm going to take this into 3ds Max, Alt-W. I'm going to drag in a plane. I'm going to get rid of these segments. Now, to make sure that my plane matches the same scale as my picture, if I go to this picture and I hover over it, I can see that it's 2588 by 1275. So 2588 by 1275. So I'm going to go 2588 by, I don't remember that. Let's 2588 by 1275. 1275. And that's too big. But once it's in proportion, I can just scale it down. Press Z to zoom in. I'm going to press M on my keyboard or click this button here for bringing up the material editor. I'm going to drag out a physical material. And I'm going to bring in my turnaround reference. Add it as base color. I'm going to click the material, drag this to place it to it, or press this button. Now I'm going to make sure the roughness is all the way up so it's not as glossy. And this is sideways. So what I'm just going to do is I'm going to go to modify. I'm going to select 1275, Control X, 2588, 2588. Okay, and now we've got the reference. I'm going to press rotate. WER is move, rotate, scale, WER. And then I want to make sure that as I'm rotating this, that it's not infinitely moving between the points. So I'm going to press A or go to this angle snap toggle, set it to 90 degrees. And I'm going to try to get this guy straight up and down. W to go to move. I'm going to try to put him right in the middle like this. Center him right there. And now I'm going to go to press E for rotate. I'm going to hold shift 90 degrees. And I'm going to put the sideways version, the side profile here. I'm going to make sure that it lines up. That's what these lines here are for, to make sure that everything matches. Now I want to be able to see through these, so I'm going to press M. I'm going to go to my material, and I'm just going to adjust the transparency. Something I can see through, but still work with. So something like that. Okay, now I'm going to start box modeling this character. I'm just going to go to a box, and in all art, you're supposed to start with the biggest shapes first. So I'm going to start with the torso. I'm just going to go up like this. I'm going to name this object cat box model. And I'm going to right click, convert to editable poly. Now I'm just going to move the pieces that I've got into place. I'm going to press 2. 1 is points, 2 is edges, 3 is openings or borders, 4 is polygon, and 5 is object. I'm going to go to 2 so I can select like this. I'm going to go to connect. I'm going to press 1. I'm just going to put it there. This one here. And I don't need to make it perfect. What I'm trying to do is the overall shape. And now I don't want to work on both sides constantly. So I'm going to press 1, and I can go to this modify panel. I can click here, and I can scroll all the way down to symmetry. which is right here. But instead of doing that for speed, I'm just going to hit X, and I'm going to type in Sym, S-Y-M, and press Enter. I don't want it on the Z-axis. There, and I'm going to flip it. And now what I'm going to do is go back down to Editable Poly in the stack, and I'm going to say Show End Result. This will let me work on both sides at the same time. And I can't really see through this model to see if I'm getting things right. So if I hold down Alt and press X, I get this transparency mode. All right, I'm going to go to 2, press Alt X to stop seeing through it for a second. Let's see. Next biggest part would be the legs. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a seam down the middle. I'm just going to 2, click, and I'm going to go with ring. That's going to select everything going up. I'm going to hit connect. And if I press this instead of this connect button will just automatically do it. But if I press this button, the square, it'll give me this menu, which will let me add multiple connections. Right click to move it. I can move them around like this. And what I want is just to create that bottom section at the pelvic floor where the legs don't connect. I'm going to hit check. And now I'm going to press 4 to go to polygon. And I'm just going to hold shift. I'm going to drag out. I'm going to press R to scale. And then I'm going to hold shift and drag down. E to rotate. Now, this section should go up a little further. I'm just going to try to match the silhouette to some extent as best I can. Make sure you rotate around to see if everything's in the right spot. Every time you make something, try to get it to match as close as you can. Now, this area is going to be a little bit of trouble, so I'm just going to select it. I'm going to hit connect. Press 1 to go to edges. Just trying to make the overall best features. And say I want all these pieces to be level because there's one that's not. If I press R to scale and I scale up, they'll all match the same section. Here, it's up a little bit, put that up a little bit, so I can move it out. I'll pull these legs apart just a little bit. Four to go to polygons. I'm going to pull down, and I'm just going to set it here. R for scale. W for move, hold shift, E for rotate, R, press 1 for the points. I suggest writing down the hotkeys on a sheet of paper in a notebook in a section called 3ds Max so you can keep track of them. Hold shift and drag out. I'm going to Alt X to see if I'm getting things overlapping in the right way. So I can get some stretching over here. So I'm just going to move this in. Down. Press 4 to go to polygons. Hold shift. E for rotate. And I'm only trying to build in the basic forms, the big sections. R for scale. 2 for edges. And press Alt X so I can stop seeing through it for a second. And before I make any complicated details, like there's big section through here through the thighs, and then there's the calves, but I'm going to come back because I want to make everything that's large first. So we've got a section where the arms go here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to press 2, and I'm going to click this edge, and I'm going to say loop or ring. And what that's going to do is grab everything through here, and I'm going to hit connect. And anytime I add an edge, I want to use that edge. So since I added it here, I'm going to go all the way around, and I'm going to add the points in places to use it. Just here, just kind of rounding out the form. I don't want to add any edges that I don't need. If I can delete an edge and no one notices, then it didn't need to be there. See how the simplifier is, it's going to let us finish this much faster. Just that one line is already making the character round out a lot more. Rotating around, making sure everything's getting in the right spot, or in a spot that makes sense. This one down is a little awkward. Alt X to see through. Drag this back this way. Alt X to turn that off. Press 2 to go to edges. Pull them in. This way, round the chest. Round the back. If you try to do this without a model sheet, it's very likely that it won't succeed because you have to have an expert's knowledge of anatomy to pull this off. And a model sheet can save you a tremendous amount of work. Okay. This section. Now I'm going to add this to the head. So what I'm going to do is this section right in here for, I think I need one more edge. So I'm just going to go to points. I'm going to scroll down to the cut tool or Alt C. I'm just going to go right to here, click, and then I'm going to go across. And that's going to give me the spot. I'm just going to grab this, pull it out, Alt X to see through. All right, 4. I'm going to hold, I want that to be a little bit taller. And with this, and I think I'm going to follow this line through this way. Just so I can get this section of the back line cutting. Alt C is the cut tool. I'm going to go 4, grab this section, and I'm going to hold Shift. No, I think I'm going to cut this section out. Sometimes you have to grab the opposite side of the symmetry section so you can round things out. Back to this one, I'm going to hold Shift, I'm going to drag out, scale, rotate. I'm just trying to get the overall forms. This way. Let's see. Now, this line that goes here, I don't believe that I need it, and this one dead ends. So I'm just going to press 2, and I'm going to click this line, and I'm going to scroll down, and I'm going to hold Control, and I'm going to delete it. If I don't hold Control and I delete it, it's going to leave its points. I guess we don't care there, but I'm going to go to 1. And I'm going to go Alt-C for the cut tool. And I'm going to make this go to here. Just to round it out just a little bit more. All right, and now I'm going to pull out the rest of the nodes by pressing 4. I'm going to hold Shift, drag out, scale, that's 1. W to the move tool. Just trying to make the basic shapes read. Then I'm going to grab all the stuff on this side. I'm just going to hit R and I'm going to scale it together so it's not quite so chaotic. Now I'm going to press F4. I'm going to press 1 so I can get a look at the model. If I press 4, Control A, I can select everything. I'm just going to put a quick smoothing group on it. Just 1 on everything. Just clear all, click 1. And now I'm going to press 1 to get out of there twice and look at it. That's the general look. All right. And now I'm going to F4 to turn lines on, press 1 to go back into edges. And now what I need is a section for his arms. And this can be it. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to press. I think I want one more line through here. 1 second. Click ring. Hit connect. I'm going to press F3 to see through to make sure I didn't grab anything I don't want to. Alt X to see where the circle goes. So the arm goes here. So I'm just going to a little more to work in here. So anytime you add something, move it, take a look, because there's an entire line here that's not doing anything. So I'm just going to press 2, just going to pull that out, try to round it a little bit. You can delete a line when you don't need it. Alt X, I need this circle here. So I'm going to give myself another line going through this way. Just going to press 2. Let's see. Just going to press 1 to the edges. Alt C is cut, or it's in here. I'm just going to go this way. Alt C to, or second. No. Control Y is redo. Sometimes the cut tool gets a little bit wonky. So what I'm going to do is go back to this, press 2 to the edges. You can see how it gets just a tiny bit strange. Now I'm going to hold down Control and hit remove. I'm going to press 1 to make sure I didn't leave any lines there. Now I'm going to Alt C to do the cut. And I'm adding this so I can have this section for the arm. I'm just going to go down. I'm going to dead end it here. I don't think I'm going to follow it through the bottom section. I think that's all right. Alt X to see through. Just going to move these points generally in the section of the arm. That's good. But the line that I put in, I'm going to go through and I'm going to make sure that it actually rounds out my character. sorry, sections driving me crazy. Just going to grab this. I'm going to hit connect. Press 1 on my keyboard. Hit F3 to see through. One more through here. You press R, scale, rotate, scale a little bit more. Scale it out. And it's flatter on the inside than it is on the outside. So we're going to do this. I don't want to do too many small details before I get everything in a little bit. 4 arms. Now I'm going to pull this out like this to try to get more of that shape. See, something strange has happened here. So what I'm going to do is turn off the eyeball to see. It looks like we lost a section. And just to keep the topology right, I'm just going to Alt-C. I'm just going to cut these two together. And I'm going to look at symmetry real quick. And I'm going to cut one more time right through here. And I'm going to delete this line. Just holding Control and hit remove. Turn symmetry back on. That's better. All right. One more line right through here. Press 2. Connect. Scale. Just trying to make sure everything I got, I'm making full use of. There. Just slowly making use of every piece. All right. 4, back to the arms. Alt X to see through it. Make sure that I'm getting that circle. I'm going to hold Shift. I'm going to drag out, rotate, W, hold Shift, drag out, scale it, E to rotate, hold Shift, drag out. And anytime you model something, make sure that you, whenever you do it, you move to another angle so you can make sure that you're not having some weird errors. You rotate, hold Shift, and the hand's going to get flatter as it goes this way. Do this manually. 2, 1. Your turnaround can never tell you everything, and so you kind of just have to know some of the things about anatomy to be able to pull this off. This reflection is a bug in 3ds Max. If I hit render or F9, this will disappear because it's actually not shiny, but the system makes everything shiny for some reason. See how it's not shiny here? All right, I'm going to hold Shift, drag down. Now I'm going to expand this. Hold Shift. I'm going to leave myself a spot for my thumb. And down here. Let's say the hand gets a little bit thinner. Do that. I'm going to press F4, or not F4, 4, and I'm going to fold this out by holding Shift. Go to Scale. Make it thinner. I'm going to rotate it by pressing R, hold Shift, press 2 to go to edges, bring this down. Four, hold Shift, drag down. And then we'll grab this edge here by pressing 2, pull it forwards like this. Just trying to get the overall basic shapes. Okay. Now I want 3 separate pieces for fingers. I'm going to press 1, and I'm going to make sure that any place that's going to be bending doesn't have triangles in it. So this wrist section, this elbow, things like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say that this section, I'm going to hit Alt-C, and I'm going to cut it in half. Let's just start by cutting in half like this. And then I'm going to just connect this here. Now I'm going to connect this one here, this one here. And now we've got these triangles, but if I click here and go down, I have 1, 2, 3, 4. So I've got a polygon. You want to try to stay away from triangles as much as possible, but there's absolutely no way to actually get rid of them. So there's 4 fingers, and I want 3. I'm actually going to scoop these over. Remove by holding Control. Let's double click to grab all the way across. Scoop it over here. Double click. Scoot it down a little bit. And now 1, Alt-C for the cut. I'm just going to go here. Now I'm going to press 4 to go to polygon. I'm just going to click these 2 and I'm going to hold down Shift. And then I'm going to click this one and hold down Shift. Now that's a weird thing it added, so I'm just going to click it, hold down Control and hit Remove. Press 4. Now it's getting a little bit strange, so I'm just going to grab this edge. We're just trying to make a blocky form of this character. Oh, we got some strangeness. Now this comes from whenever you extrude any object in Max, through itself, it'll cut itself out. I know that it's an interesting feature. It can be annoying, but I'm going to hold Shift and I'm going to drag this out. Then I'm going to hold Shift and I'm going to drag it back and just cut through the object. Pretty cool feature, except for when you don't want it to happen. So what I'm going to do is just going to grab this. When this face went through this one, it caused problems. So I'm just going to scale it this way. I'm going to scoot it out of the way. Grab this one, hold Shift, drag down. Here. Just trying to get the overall shape. The inside of the hand is going to have a, kind of like you're holding a large ball. It's got an indentation here. Something like that. Press F4, 1. I'm going to press 4, Control A. I'm going to put a smoothing group on all of it again. So just clear all 1. 1, 1 to take a look at it, and I'm going to hit Alt-Q to isolate. Okay, got the basic idea. I'm going to end isolation, F4 to bring my lines back. I'm going to put his tail on, and I'm just going to throw a little line through here to do that. So press 2, click, then go to ring, connect, and the tail is going to come down. There's a bone on your pelvis called the sacrum. It's a big section, and then there's the coccyx. Well, the tail should extrude from the coccyx, and so I'm just going to, before I extrude that, I'm just going to go to 2, I'm going to try to use this shape that I put in to round the character off. So I don't want to add any lines that I'm not going to use. Try to match the silhouette as best as possible. Just trying to make it a little less square as I go through it. All right, and now I want a tail through here, so I'm going to press 4. I'm going to click this section. It actually should be here, but I don't want to put it here because it'll make it difficult to animate. Maybe it'll work. I'm going to hold Shift, and I'm going to make the tail straight. W, Shift, and go up. It gets thick in the center, so I'm going to press W, scale, press 1. Just going to drag this down a little bit, just to round out the tail. 4, hold Shift, R to scale, W, hold Shift and scale, bring it down. Now finishing the very point, we're actually going to save that because we're very likely just going to come back and add that section in. Grab this line here, press 2. And I'm going to bend this tail, so I'm going to select this. I'm going to go to connect. I'm going to put in 3. Switch to 1. Major bend. And I don't think I'm going to bend this yet because if I'm going to rig this, I want it to be straight. But let's just bend it anyways. Rotate this E. And I think I'm going to scale this just so that I can get the tail to be a little bit thinner. All right. Now let's go through and add some more details in. We have the mouth, we have eyes, we have ears. To not deal with so much of this stuff on the other side, I'm just going to take this character and I'm going to right click, convert to editable poly. That's going to collapse the stack so the character will be the same on both sides. Alt-Q to isolate. Make sure you're looking at your character with F4 every so often. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to X, Symmetry, SYM, X brings up the search function. Go back to editable poly, turn scene and result on. I'm just going to take care of some of those weird lines over there. Now we're going to cut in some sections, like this head has gotten a little bit weird. This mirror isn't going up high enough. It'll probably be fine, but if you press 1 or click this, I can go to R. I'm just going to scale this up a bit, just to make sure that it covers everything. Press 1 again to turn off editable poly. I'm going to round off this head. I'm just going to exit isolation. press Z to center the camera on the section I've selected. And round it out there a little bit. This is a little bit weird. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut a piece here, Alt-C. Grab this top section, pull it up. Okay. Round off this top piece. Let's snap just a little bit farther forwards. All right. All right, now we're going to cut the mouth in. So I'm going to hit Alt-C and see if I follow this line across. So I'm going to hit 2 because I think I could use this line all the way through this character. So I'm just going to go here and I'm going to go ring. Now, ring is going to go here and it's going to stop at this section. So I'm just going to hit connect really quickly. 1, Alt-C, and I'm going to go to cut. I'm just going to pull this out. Pull that out a little bit. Just try to use the lines that I've got around it. All right, and I want the lower jaw to be a separate piece. So there's a couple ways to do this. I'm going to grab this one, move it down, and hit Alt-C, and I'm going to cut through here. And then I'm going to press 4 to grab this section and this section. And I could hold Shift and just push this in. There's a couple of different ways that it can be done. In fact, I might just do that anyways. Push it in, and I'm going to push it in that much to add the lip. And then I'm going to press R for scale, and I'm going to hold Shift, and I'm going to scale it up. And then I'm going to push it, scale it a little bit more this way. Now, let's move it backwards. Hold Shift to move it backwards. R to scale it. Now I'm just going to grab this section and I'm going to scoot it back. Just making sure things aren't strange. I'm going to grab this point, and this point, this point, and I'm going to turn off symmetry so I can see. And this is going to be a little annoying. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to press 4. I'm going to grab this. I'm just going to scoot it over. Now let's turn symmetry back on. Okay, that makes it a little easier to deal with. Press 1. I've got all these points, and I want them all to be level. So I'm just going to hit R for scale, and I'm just going to drag up, not holding anything. Down here, I'm going to pull these in. This is where having an art background is very helpful because it's difficult to figure out what things need to be done without the anatomy. I'm going to connect these 2 points. So I'm just going to hold Control and click them, and I'm going to hit connect. I'm just trying to create the inner cavity of the mouth. Don't worry if it looks a little strange. It'll eventually pull itself together. And push the roof of the mouth up. Just sure to make room for teeth. Okay. Now, Alt X to see through. Now I'm going to keep looking at my references here to see what type of head what type of body and everything I'm building into. Alt X to see through. One. There. Now I'm going to cut a jaw section through here. Alt C. I'm just going to follow it through the top of this. Now these two lines have become, let's pull it up. They're likely going to remove that in just a little bit. Make sure I use my lines that I added. And if I see the character, his jaw should cut in just a little bit here. So we should go to this line, Alt C for cut. I'm just going to cut this second one in like this, following it around. It'll stop about there. Just going to tuck it in a bit, press F4 to see. Press 1, press 4 to grab it again. Do Alt 1. Getting the angle in, kind of got a frog look right now. Sections in. No. Now let's see. I'm going to go for, let's get these ears. So let's go this 4, go here. Looks like it's a little further back. So let's press 2 and scoop this back a little bit. Press 4 again, hold shift, drag up. Keep that in just a little bit. Four, up. So we need to come closer to the side. Double click to grab all of it. 1. Now this looks like it needs another edge. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to Alt C for cut. I'm just going to go down, go across. Now give me one for the other side as well. Control grab. Bring it through here some. It's a little bit weird. I'm going to Alt C for cut. Go through here. Now these triangles are just saying that it has no smoothing group, so it facets them like a diamond. But I just need to get the overall shape and make sure it matches up to my reference. It's very difficult to do if you're an artist, is to not perfect everything, because what we want is the whole thing to be done at the same time. And so we just do little bits and then you hop around your model. Something I have a lot of difficulty doing because I want to make everything perfect. But if you do that, you just won't finish. Now this is an error that can happen anywhere. I'm just going to click these two, hold down, click this one, hold down Control, click this one. I'm going to go to Weld, drag up, take the check mark, Z, go forwards. I don't like this section. So I'm just pull C, cut, click, click, press 2. Does not look like I can get way up though. Yeah, that's better. Now there's these little pieces sticking out, and we're going to keep adding sections, but I don't want to jump forward until we get more pieces fixed. All right, I'm going to go through this character, and I want to loop through here. So I'm just going to press 2. I'm going to double click, not double click, I'm going to click and hit ring. I'm going to see where that ring takes me. All the way through here, all the way around here, all the way around the toes. I'm going to connect, see what it looks like. Okay, now I'm going to use that line to round everything off. And there's some weird triangles in here. But we're going to clean those up as we go. But first I want to get the character to look correctly. Look good first. Alt C, click. I'm just going to add this here, and I'm going to set it to here. Press 2. Now I need a section for the bicep. Got the bicep here, bicep and tricep, and then the deltoid. I'm just going to add this in really quickly before I go any further. Just one more connection. And scale it up. That's 1. W to remove. No. Back to 2. Let's just add in the curvature of the model. Like that. Comes to too much of a point. These don't curve enough. It's the problem with the two-dimensional drawings using them as references, because you don't, all you can do is get the silhouette, and then the silhouette's going to look like a hard, it's going to have hard, sharp edges. But without it, it is much more difficult to actually do. Round these sections off. Take these fingers in a little bit. Make sure I'm constantly rotating. These. Now the sections of finger through here, I'm just going to grab this, push it this way. Just try to make sure that I'm thinking, I'm not just moving polygons, I'm thinking about where they should go and how they'll make the fingers more natural. This one, this way. This one, go in. By pulling these up, I'm rounding these sections. So whenever I do come through and I add fingers going this way, pull it down just a little bit. F3 to make sure I grab all the stuff. That way. I'm going to flatten these out just a little bit. Like R and hit scale. I'm going to press 2 and drag this down. R and hit scale. Back to 1. So pull these in to round it off. I have to keep rotating it to make sure that I didn't grab something I don't want to. Pull that way just a little bit. Down. Rounding everything off. With this method, you can actually make any character. Making sure every line is rounding itself off a little bit. Slowly pulling the character. Like carving it out of soap or something. Make the big flat sections and then I soften those edges by chamfering them. ZBrush is superior for making characters, but if you don't know how to do this method called box modeling, it makes it very difficult to use ZBrush characters because they have too many polygons, and you won't know how to fix them or retopologize them if you've never box modeled a character before. Just trying to match the silhouette. Bend the hand just a little bit. The hand gets pulled by the tendons at the bottom called the flexors, and so it's always being pulled this way, so it cuts just a little bit that way. Same thing to the thumb. Okay, you follow that line all the way through. All right. Now, what I want are the toes. Oh, I didn't do these sections. Let's see. 2. You should get an anatomy model. They have them everywhere, full muscles, so that you can see the overall shapes of where they go. There's a hard bone going right through here. And I want to make sure that it's got its flat section. Comes off of the femur. Tibia. This section. I'm just trying to create the overall shape. Now there's the patella of the kneecap that's sticking out here. F3 to see through. So add another line through this section. 2, click, ring, connect. 2, make sure that I work all the sections through here. Just press 1. Just making sure that if I add something, I'm using it. Back to my other line, making sure that it got used everywhere. As you go down, you get the gastrocnemius and tibialis anterior, and tibialis anterior is actually lower. I'm just going to go like this, grab this edge, bring it down. Rounding sections out. I suggest getting an anatomy model so that you can have it in front of you so you can see where these bends and everything should go. Right. I actually want one more line through here. So connect. Because this section, as it goes from gastrocnemius, which is these 2 big lumps on the back of your leg, it changes into a tendon section through here that has a section of tissue that holds it all together like a bracelet called the superior extensor reticulum. And so I just need to show that that exists. I'm doing like that. Pinches in around the ankle. It's got a little bit weird. Pull that out. Just widening the foot a little bit as it goes down. Make sure all these lines that I have here actually do something. Because these 3, this middle one was the new one, and they don't add any curvature to the model. And if they don't, I need to delete them. It goes back like that a little bit. making sure I need every line that I've got. Okay. Now let's add in the toes here. So I want 3 toes that kind of spread out. 3 toes under here. So I go here. Let's just Alt-C for cut. I'm going to cut this into thirds. Just like this. And dead end these lines here. If you do this and you don't see anything, just right click and click off and click again. Because sometimes it won't understand where things go. And if you're not sure if you got it, click and drag around to make sure that there's not points on top of each other. Alt-C, click here. Now I'm going to press 4 and extrude this section first. And I'm actually going to round this section off really quickly. I'm just going to extrude it this way. I always move around to make sure I didn't mess something up on the underside, grab something I didn't want to. Back to 4, hold shift, drag. That's wrong. Hold shift, drag out. That's 1. Try to shape these a little more. R for scale. Round it out a little bit more. One. Make the bottom a little larger, like gravity, like it's a bag, like a water balloon. It gets flatter towards the bottom. Just trying to get the overall shape. I suggest getting some caffeine, finding some music that has a lot of energy, and finding I enjoy this. Trying to find the part about the thing that you like. I like creating characters. And sculpting's a lot of fun. Down. Don't worry if it's a little blocky. As we keep adding rings, we'll just keep following them around. Press 1, F4, press 4 again. Smoothing group. Alt Q. We're getting the overall idea of the character. Exit isolation, F4 to see lines. And what I suggest is every so often I set an alarm, and I'm just going to save. I'm going to say new folder. I'm going to call this cat character builder. And inside I'm going to say new folder. I'm going to say max saves. Maps. I'm just going to go to max saves. And I'm going to call this cat builder. And I'm going to say 519 underscore 1. And I'm going to hit save. And every about hour, I'm going to save another one. There's lots of online timers through Google that you can use. And that's what I suggest. Now, I want to cut some eyes in, but it's difficult to put eyes in without spheres. So I'm just going to go in, I'm going to grab a sphere. Now, spheres have this weird problem that they have polarization. No matter how low I go, there's still some level of polarization, which is just a little bit weird. If I go grab a box, I can say X or search, and then I can go turbo smooth, hit enter, and I can divide it one time, and now I have a box or a sphere that actually doesn't have polarized coordinates, making it much easier to unwrap. Convert to editable poly, shrink this down, press Z to zoom into it. What I'm going to try to do is match this to the size of this eyeball. And its eye. I'm going to move its pivot. Instead of being here, I'm going to put it in the center. Effect pivot, center object. And the eye should fit in your mouth. So if I test that, should be something like that. I'm just going to touch smaller. Put it here. I'm going to put it here for now. I'm going to go back to this one. Now let's cut in some eyes. Alt X. And I'm going to make sure that I get the front view. Just so there's no perspective cutting in. Alt C. And I'm just going to cut this eye in like this. Just kind of ignoring the topology. I think that's right. So I'm going to go to P for perspective. Look at where that gave me my eye. Alt X to stop seeing through. Now I'm going to take this line and I'm going to lower it down to the bridge of the nose. And I'm going to connect these through Alt C. I'm going to go across. Take this back. I just want the lines to go somewhere. So the 3ds Max, if you saw this weird problem that's popping up every so often, Max doesn't always know how to render something, and so the more of a guess it's got to make, the more chance it's going to be wrong. So I just want to connect these to somewhere. This one here, this one here. Now what's going to happen is the eye for predators is going to be on the front of the face. So these don't go anywhere, so I'm just going to Alt C, just going to cut through here. And I'm going to I'm just going to follow this through the mouth. Now this can get just a little bit dangerous. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to press 2, I'm going to click, because I won't know what's happening inside of the mouth. And I'm just going to hit ring. So it goes all the way around the character. I'm going to undo the line that I cut here. Go to my ring, go to connect, press 1, leading extension for the sternum, pull this line out, click to proceed to recenter the camera. And I want to make sure that any lines I add that I'm actually using them. Click here, go forwards, go Alt-C for cut, click, go up to this eye, click, bring this down here. Now this eye is rounding the corner. There's a bone right through here called the zygomatic bone on the side of your skull. It's the section where your skull goes from the forehead to the side of the temple bone. And so I want to make sure that that shows up. I'm going to press 4, and click in here. I'm just going to hold shift and drag back to give myself some eye socket. Drag in just a little bit first. And then I'm going to hold shift and I'm going to go back like this, just building in the eye socket. Press 1, I'm just going to push this back a little bit more. Same with this one. Turn that off. Pressing 1, come over here, and plug this eyeball in. Because without the eyeball, I'll never be able to get this character to look correctly because I have to model the socket of the eye around it. I'm just putting it in best I can. And I don't want to squish the eyeball at all if possible. And it's always possible, so don't do it. Right about here. All right, back to the cat. 1. Alt Q to hide, and I have to go in isolation mode so I can move things like this. Now for this section to bend through here, I'm actually going to Alt-C for cut. Zoom in, click here, and I'm going to delete this line. May keep it for now. Alt-C, click. I'm just going to go around. Zoom in. This process will take quite a bit of time because it takes multiple days to be able to see what actually needs to be fixed. Every day you get on it and it'll make sense why you needed to make an adjustment. Exit isolation mode. F3 to see through. I just want to make sure I grab all 3 of these. The 2 inside. Scoot it out. Alt Q again, because I want to push this section down. Same with this section. Alt Control Q will exit isolation without having to hit this button. I'm going to grab these 2. This one. Pull it in. I'm going to pull it out some. Again, grab these two, Control to go up, hold in, hold Control key to exit isolation mode. Move that forwards a little bit. Okay. Now, to make sure I get this eyeball in the exact spot, I've got its numbers here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to Mirror, and I'm going to say Copy, and I'm going to say drag Offset. Okay. Now I'm going to take this one's numbers. So this one is -102, and I'm just going to paste it in. I'm just going to get rid of the negative sign. Let's just move it this way is the X and Y. Just selecting it, Control V. That's no point. Must not be equally spaced from this section. I'm going to eyeball it for now, and I'll come back and fix it. F4, take a look at it. Okay, 4. All right. Now what I want to do is cut in this brow ridge. I'm going to press 1, Alt C, and there's a section that comes up like this zygomatic arch. I'm just going to click, click, click. And this section just sticks out just a little bit. This side, make sure the arch is here, and then I'm going to follow that arch around, Alt C. Click, click. And then you have the brow ridge. And this brow ridge is what keeps your eye from being, if you fall or somebody hitting you, from your eyeball being hit. You can grab this section, pull it up. Now this section showing through the eyeballs is a little too much. That piece. Something strange going on here. I think it's all right. Let's make sure I'm looking at it on this side and if everything's working. Just want to make sure I've got the brow ridge. Now I'm going to cut through an edge all the way through like this. So I'm going to press 2, ring, and it went all the way through here, but it didn't go through here. So I'm going to Control click, hit ring, and connect. Now I'm going to use these edges. Put this one down just a little bit. One to go points. Just using the lines I've got. Try to round it out as best as possible. This is weird, so I'm just going to click it, hold down Control, and I'm going to go to Weld. And if this doesn't work, just drag this up and hit this. Just making sure that things didn't get weird, because they can easily get very strange. This is a little bit strange. Just going to grab this Alt-C, cut, and I'm just going to get rid of this right here. Hold the Control to remove. Before I click remove, and that means that I do need this. Now, I'm going to cut once through here, Alt-C. Now we're going to need to come back later and clean up some of this geometry, because right now I want to get in as much of the anatomy detail as possible. And then I'm going to go through and make sure that the geometry is not crazy. Round this off some. Lower jaw should be in more. Get a bit closer. Still got a pretty chubby face. I actually think I may have gone too far out on this. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to press 2, hold down Control, I'm going to hit remove, and then I'm going to press 1. I'm going to cut the jaw in, because right through here comes down, and this jawbone should come up. Maybe a little more like that. Now it's got to come further this way. Eyes are too far apart, I believe. Yep. There's where some of our trouble's getting in. Now to fix this, I'm just going to Alt-Q to isolate. And I'm going to grab, let's just hit 4, grab the inside of that eye, hold Control. I'm going to hit Grow. Hold Alt to select off of stuff like that. 4. Now, like that. 1 second. Grab these sections. With this. Just holding Control. And I don't want to leave these sections. I'm going to connect them through here. And now I'm going to go down to what's called Soft Selection. I'm going to turn it on. And I'm going to turn it up. Turn it all the way off first. Red is full movement like this, like what you expect. And if I turn this up, you'll see it start grabbing points around it. So what I want to do is move it proportionally. I want everything to follow it, kind of. I'm going to hit Alt-X to see through it. Hit Alt-Control-Q to bring everything back. I'm going to hide the reference of the eyeball. Let's call this L, IL. Hold X to see through. I'm going to go to perspective, and I can press F to go to the front. Just going to try to get these more in line with the actual picture. Need to get back to perspective view. All right, get our eyeballs back. Press Z to zoom in on them. Any character you make is going to take time. Control copy the eye name, so I don't have to make it again. Duplicate. Back to work. Well, keep soft selection on, see how it moves. Okay, turn soft selection off. Nose section up. And every so often, this section kind of bugs me because I can't really see what's going on. So I just right click, convert to editable poly, and then I'm going to X, SYM, symmetry. Show end result. Cutting that jawline. It should go, your jaw should plug into a spot right behind your ear. Listen. I'm going to put a piece right through here. Alt C, click. I'm going to get rid of this section. 2. Hold down Control, hit remove. 1. Now there's lots and lots more that can be done. Like I can add sections through this section to smooth it out. Ring. It's going to go through here. So I'm just going to hit, make sure that it's going where I want it to. Hit connect. Click. Round it out. Use this line as the bottom of his pecs. I'm just going to hit Alt C. I'm going to cut through right here. Go across. This section. Move down. Make sure I zoom out every once in a while, take a look and see, is this thing looking better? Is the things that I'm doing actually fixing it? All right, so I added a line through here, round it out. Now there's a muscle called the deltoid right through here. I'm going to Alt-C. Just going to cut it through this. It goes back and attaches to the scapula. And go through something like that. Now that I'm going to Alt-C, I'm going to cut through here. Now I'm going to round this off. There's a big bone back here called the scapula. And on the other side, there's the clavicle. And the deltoid has three heads. The medial head connects here. It grabs on to your upper arm, right about a third up. The humerus here, and then it goes back the third head and grabs humerus on this side, connects to the bottom half of the scapula. Trying to make the topology flow naturally so it doesn't seem oddly separated. This frontal head to grab the scapula here. It actually needs to go across, so I'm going to Alt-C, cut. Now, I wonder if I added an extra point. No, we're okay. If you think you added an extra point, just click and drag and see if there's actually something underneath it. It's the deltoid, frontal head reaching across. The biceps going to pinch deep into the armpit. Tricep. It's got two heads, 1, 2, and they come down and connect to the into the elbow at the olecranon. See, one more set of lines through here. So I'm just going to click, connect, connect. Right. F3 to see through. Because if the deltoid's here, it's going to have a flat spot for the brachioradialis and the brachialis. Brachialis is going to, deltoid's going to connect here, medial head, and then you've got the bicep, the tricep, and then right here you have the brachialis, and then another one is the radiobrachialis that comes down through the forearm. Let's go through here. Now this should go down to a flat. Whenever I move one piece, I look around. Three. This line's gotten where it's not actually being helpful yet. Pull that bicep section out. Just keep rotating as you move things. Back, back, round it off. Don't be tempted to use Turbo Smooth. Turbo Smooth can't think, or any smoothing application, and so it's going to cause smoothing across everything, and it's going to create more problems than it solves most of the time. Now, top of the form is going to flatten out. I'm just going to select it, go this way. Extensors are, they pull your fingers up. I want to keep the hand flat as it goes to the fingers. Kind of round up here. Just trying to make this section rounded off just a little bit. Point through there. And now these sections here, I'm going to throw another ring through the character. Just going to get 2. Now I think I'm just going to go like this. I'm going to go Alt-C, 2, grab this, ring, connect. That goes in 1, 2, 3, 4 points. Ring, connect. 1 on my keyboard, screw it down. Around this section. Keep the topology flowing nicely. Because if this one's bent and this one's straight, just want them to kind of follow each other. Now these fingers, I'm just going to press 2. I'm going to select them like this. Make sure I don't have anything else. I hit connect. And I'm going to press R, and I'm just going to scale them like that. I'm going to double click them. Just inflate just a little bit. Maybe the same thing to this one. Just grab here, connect. Just the pad of the thumb that inflate it. And I'm just going to scoot it down like this to the flat and the round spot here. Take a look at it. Okay. There. Feet. Let's go through and give them an extra edge through the front, all the way up and around. Now, I'm going to get rid of these so that they don't cause me any trouble. I might bring them back. I'm just going to hold down Control and hit remove. Let's see. Better here. It's going to be Alt-C and just connect it. Save really quickly. I'm going to click this first one, and I've got 1, and I'm just going to put this one to 2. And so if I ever get in a problem, if I keep saving, because I have a little alarm that goes off, then I will never lose more than an hour of time. All the way around 2, here, ring, big toe, round, around, and then you go through the ear. There's a little bit of a spiral going on here. And we want that to go through the center of the ear. That would be nice. There's some difficulty in here. We'll take this and go that way then. It's going to connect, see what it gave me. That gets to be quite strange, but I'm going to fix it. Just going to grab this section and this section and this section, this section, and hold down Control and hit remove. And press 1 on the keyboard. I'm just going to cut across, cut this one down. I'm going to round this section's off. We'll flatten out a little bit more and then grab the back of this ear, smooth back. Building characters is the most complicated thing that you're probably ever going to do in 3D. I know an awful lot about anatomy. There we go. Now, I'm getting some strange stuff in here. So to clean this topology up, I'm just going to click. I'm just going to kind of kill some of this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do that one too. Hold down Control and hit remove. Now let's see these weird errors. I'm going to press 1, Alt C. I'm just going to go from here to here, and then from here to here. And from here, here. This little edge is strange. So I'm going to Alt C. I'm just going to cut here to here. Press 2. I'm just going to remove these edges. Trying to make the topology as clean as I can get it. But that should always come after I've worked out the strange problems, the anatomy problems. Just shrinking the forehead a little bit. Now this nose a tiny bit. Try to dance around your model and don't do too much in one spot, because it's really easy to hyper focus and then not have a model that will work. Basics. We added a line going through toe. So let's clicking, going to Z to recenter the camera. Put it out there. Down here. Just rounding off everywhere that line went. You can remove the line, and it doesn't change anything. That line doesn't need to be there. It needs to be back. Back. Sometimes the line, you want to leave it there and move the lines around it. And Control to select more than one. Just want these to subtly turn. This line doesn't appear to be doing anything. There's a band called the iliotibial band right through here that comes off the gluteus medius. It connects to the femur and it's flat on this outer side of the leg. Just a little bit. Rounding off the leg. Any place that I may have missed because I put this line in, but it doesn't look like I actually treated it yet. I used it to make everything round. Since this is going to go on the ground, I'm not going to round it too much. Sure, I'll keep zooming out and see if it's actually making it better. Like this is too fat through here, too thick. Put it in. If I hold Alt when I'm zooming, it'll zoom less. Regular Alt. Go across the top of the thigh. And you can do this with the soft selection. Speed it up and make it seem more natural, kind of like a ZBrush. Press 2 to speed this up just a little bit. It's a really hard edge through here. Click like that. I don't care about anything after the symmetry because it's going to be deleted anyways. Up. Right. Around the back. Right. Up. Gluteus maximus. Battle. This indentation is where the spine grabs through here on both sides, called the trapezius. Just this bone here, muscle on both sides. Up, kind of soften this spike that's gotten here. Make it a little less harsh. Right here, so that's going to be a bit of a problem. So I'm going to connect it. I'm going to start here, go this way, and then I'm going to connect here like this. Now these have these little pieces sticking out. I'm just going to press 2. I'm going to go to connect. I'm going to grab this edge, pull it up. And this one, press 4, Shift, R to scale. One, W to go to move. Don't worry about it being boxy. We'll come back through and fix it. As we add lines through, you'll find that you just have the lines that you need. Grab this one just to soften that edge a little bit. We'll put one more through here. Just ring, connect, soften it a little bit. This weird connection section. So it wants a line through it. But I think it'll be okay. See, put a triangle nose. I'll probably do that with textures, but Alt C, Alt X to see through, F to go to the front view. Front. Slightly off from the picture, but it's this big. Press P. F3 to get out of that. You can see it's having some trouble reading points on the other side of the symmetry. They're still there, it's just having trouble with them. Press 4, grab the nose, hold Shift, drag it out. Actually duplicate it. It's 1. Nope. I'm not going to go every single step of making this character, but just enough, hopefully, that you'll have some ideas how to do it for yourself. One more spot through here. Just so I get the basic idea. See, that didn't quite meet. I'm just going to click it. Alt-C. This one through as well. So this face is quite a bit thinner than I thought it was. But we'll just keep going as we get it. Now, I need to do the same thing to the toes, anything else, but let's just take a quick peek at this character. I'm going to hide these two reference planes. And that's a reasonable facsimile for this character. File, save as, and it's 3. And that's the basics of modeling this character. And what we're going to do after this is we're going to go into unwrapping it so that we can texture it. Okay, thank you, and I'll see you next time.